Wells Fargo presents one of the surest ways to grow your money. A Wells Fargo CD account, where you can earn a 5.00% annual percentage yield on an 11-month term with a minimum opening deposit of $5,000. Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/CD rates to open a CD account and start growing your savings with us.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
This is SpaceTime, Series 26, Episode 47, for broadcast on the 19th of April, 2023. Coming up on SpaceTime, an invisible monster on the loose in intergalactic space, understanding the mystery of the neutrino mass, and a fascinating new look at Uranus. All that and more coming up on SpaceTime.
Welcome to SpaceTime with Stuart Gary.
Astronomers have discovered an invisible monster barreling through intergalactic space. The demon, which was detected by NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, is a supermassive black hole, some 20 million times the mass of our Sun. This monstrous gravity well, reported in the astrophysical journal Letters, is moving so fast that if it were in our solar system, it could travel between the Earth and Moon in just 14 minutes. Astronomers say the supermassive black hole has left a never-before-seen 200,000 light-year-long contrail of newborn stars in its wake. That's twice the diameter of our Milky Way galaxy. The authors say this is all likely the result of a rare, bizarre galactic game of billiards involving three massive black holes. Rather than gobbling up stars ahead of it like a cosmic Pac-Man, this high-speed black hole is ploughing through clouds of gas in front of it, in the process triggering new star formation along a narrow corridor. The black hole is simply travelling too fast to take time for a snack. And nothing like it's ever been seen before. Amazingly, it was all captured quite accidentally by NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. The study's lead author, Peter Van Dokkum from Yale University in New Haven, says astronomers are seeing a trail behind the black hole where gas is cooling and forming stars. He says the trail must have lots of new stars in it, given it's almost half as bright as the host galaxy it's linked to. And the black hole lies at one end of the column, which stretches back to the parent galaxy. And there's a remarkably bright knot of ionized oxygen at the outermost tip of the column. The authors believe that gas is probably being shocked and heated by the motion of the black hole hitting the gas. Alternatively, it could be radiation from the accretion disk around the black hole, where material is being crushed and torn apart at the subatomic level, releasing powerful X-rays and gamma rays. The authors still aren't sure exactly how it all works, and it was pure serendipity that they stumbled across it when they were searching for globular star clusters in a nearby dwarf galaxy. Because it looked so weird, Van Dokkum and colleagues undertook follow-up spectroscopy using the Keck observatories in Hawaii, and they revealed the aftermath of the black hole flying through a halo of gas surrounding the host galaxy. Now, this intergalactic skyrocket is likely the result of multiple collisions of supermassive black holes. In all, at least three must have been involved. The first two galaxies merged maybe 50 million years ago, and that brought together the supermassive black holes at their centres, which then proceeded to whirl around each other in a binary black hole system. Then a third galaxy came along with its own supermassive black hole, and following the old idiom, two's company, three's a crowd, the three black holes began gravitationally interacting with each other, eventually flinging one of them out of the group. When this single supermassive black hole took off in one direction, the binary supermassive black holes shot off in the opposite direction. and there is a feature seen on the opposite side of the host galaxy that might be the runaway binary black holes. The circumstantial evidence supporting this is that there's no sign of an active black hole at the center of the galaxy. This report from NASA TV.
There's an invisible giant monster on the loose. It's barreling through intergalactic space, fast enough to travel from Earth to the Moon in 14 minutes. But don't worry, luckily this beast is very, very far away. This potential supermassive black hole, weighing as much as 20 million suns, has left behind a never-before-seen 200,000 light-year-long trail of newborn stars. The streamer is twice the diameter of our Milky Way galaxy. It's likely the result of a rare, bizarre game of galactic billiards among three massive black holes. Astronomers suspect that first two galaxies merged perhaps 50 million years ago. That brought together two supermassive black holes at their centers. They whirled around each other until another galaxy came along with its own supermassive black hole. The three of them chaotically orbited around each other. This unstable configuration couldn't last, and eventually one of them was violently flung out of the host galaxy. Rather than gobbling up stars ahead of it, this speedy black hole is plowing into gas in front of it to trigger new star formation along a narrow corridor. The next step is to do follow-up observations with NASA's James Webb Space Telescope and the Chandra X-ray Observatory. Also, NASA's upcoming Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope will have a wide-angle view of the universe with Hubble's high resolution. As a survey telescope, the Roman observations might find more of these rare and improbable events elsewhere in the universe. Hubble, once again showing us that the universe is full of fascinating phenomena.
This is SpaceTime. Still to come, understanding the mystery of the neutrino mass, and a fascinating new look at Uranus. All that and more coming up on SpaceTime.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
When any piece of matter is divided into ever smaller and smaller pieces, eventually, when it can't be divided any further, you're left with an elementary particle, beyond which there are probably vibrating strings of energy. The standard model of particle physics, the foundation of science's understanding of the universe, has identified 12 different known elementary particles. These elementary particles are made up of quarks and leptons, and each comes in 6 different types or flavors, and they're grouped into 3 generations. They include 6 quarks, up, down, charm, strange, top and bottom, each with their own antimatter counterpart, and 6 leptons, the electron, the muon and the tau, which are all negatively charged, and the positron, the antimuon and the anti-tau, which are all positively charged. And there are also 6 neutrinos, the electron neutrino, the muon neutrino and the tau neutrino, which have no charge but do have their own antimatter counterparts. Now, as well as these, there are also 6 force-carrying particles, known as bosons. The gluon, the photon, the Z boson, the plus and minus W bosons, and the Higgs boson. Now, it all seems pretty simple. In the standard model, the masses of the 3 generations of neutrinos are represented by a 3x3 matrix. And they constantly change both mass and flavor, so that what starts out as an electron neutrino could end up as a muon or tau neutrino when it's detected. It's all very strange. Now, a research team led by Professor Naoki Haba from the Osaka Metropolitan University has analyzed the collection of leptons that make up the neutrino mass matrix. Haber says clarifying the properties of elementary particles leads to the exploration of the universe and ultimately to the grand theme of where we come from. And he says beyond the remaining mysteries of the Standard Model, there's a whole new world of physics. Now, because neutrinos are known to have less difference in their mass between generations than other elementary particles, the authors considered that neutrinos are roughly equal in mass between generations. They analysed the neutrino mass matrix by simply randomly assigning each element in the matrix. Their findings, reported in the journal Progress of Theoretical and Experimental Physics, showed that theoretically, using the random mass matrix model, that the lepton-flavor mixings were large. After studying the neutrino mass anarchy in the Dirac neutrino, seesaw, double seesaw models, the authors found that the anarchy approach requires that the measure of the matrix should obey Gaussian distribution. Now, Dirac and Majorana neutrinos are two types of particles that make up the neutrino family. Dirac neutrinos are particles that have both matter and antimatter properties, while Majorana neutrinos are particles that are their own antiparticles. And that term Gaussian distribution was just a fancy way of describing the bell-shaped curve you see on a graph, where there's a little bit at each end and an awful lot in the middle. Having considered several models of light neutrino mass, where the matrix is composed of the product of several random matrices, the authors were able to prove as best they could at this stage why the calculations of the squared difference of the neutrino masses are closest to the experimental results in the case of the seesaw model with the random Dirac and Majorana matrices. Haber says the study shows that the neutrino mass hierarchy can be mathematically explained using random matrix theory. However, he admits that the proof isn't mathematically complete, and it's going to require a lot more work as random matrix theory continues to develop. In the future, the authors will continue studying the three-generation copy structure of the elementary particles, the essential nature of which is still completely unknown, both theoretically and experimentally. This is SpaceTime. Still to come, a fascinating new look at Uranus, and later in the science report, the growing calls for a temporary halt on the development of artificial intelligences. All that and more still to come on SpaceTime. Following on from last year's amazing new images of the planet Neptune, the James Webb Space Telescope has now taken a stunning new image of the solar system's other ice giant, the planet Uranus. This new image highlights the distant world's dramatic rings, as well as bright features in the planet's atmosphere. Webb's unprecedented sensitivity for the faintest dust rings, which have only ever previously been imaged by the Voyager 2 spacecraft during its 1986 flyby of the planet, and by the advanced optics on the giant 10-meter Keck telescope in Hawaii. Uranus is quite unique. It's the seventh planet in the solar system from the Sun, taking some 84 Earth years to complete each orbit. But unlike any other planet, it orbits around the Sun on its side, at a roughly 90-degree angle to the plane of its orbit, and the poles are always facing the same direction in space. This causes extreme seasons, since the planet's poles experience many years of constant sunlight, followed by an equal number of years of complete darkness. Now currently it's late spring for the northern pole. Uranus's northern summer will occur in 2028. In contrast, when Voyager 2 visited Uranus, it was summer at the South Pole. But the South Pole is now on the dark side of the planet, out of view of the Earth and facing the darkness of deep space. The new infrared images on the James Webb Space Telescope were taken by the near-infrared camera and combined data from two filters at 1.4 and 3 microns. In these images, the planet displays a blue hue. When Voyager 2 looked at Uranus, the camera showed what appeared to be an almost featureless blue-green ball in visible wavelengths. With the infrared wavelengths and the extra sensitivity of Webb, astronomers are seeing far more detail, showing how dynamic the atmosphere of Uranus really is. On the right side of the planet, there's an area of brightening at the pole facing the Sun, known as the polar cap. The polar cap is unique to Uranus. It seems to appear when the pole enters direct sunlight in the summer and then vanishes in the autumn or fall. And the new observations have revealed a surprising aspect of the polar cap, a subtle enhanced brightening at the centre of the cap. At the edge of the cap lies a bright cloud, as well as a few fainter extended features just beyond the cap's edge. And a second bright cloud is visible above the planet's left limb. These clouds are typical for Uranus at infrared wavelengths and are probably being caused by storm activity. The planet's characterized as an ice giant due to the chemical makeup of its interior. Most of its mass is thought to be a hot, dense fluid of icy materials, water, methane and ammonia, all of which surrounds a small rocky core. Uranus has 13 known rings, and 11 of them are visible in this new Webb image. Some of these rings are so bright with the Webb image that when they're close together they appear to merge into a larger single ring. 9 rings are classified as main rings, and 2 are fainter dusty rings that weren't discovered until the 1986 flyby by Voyager 2. Scientists expect that future Webb images of Uranus will also reveal the 2 faint outer rings that were discovered by Hubble during a 2007 ring-plane crossing. Webb also captured many of Uranus's 27 known moons, most of which are too small and too faint to be seen by other telescopes. All in all, a fascinating world, and one worthy of far more study. This is SpaceTime. And time now to take another brief look at some of the other stories making news in science this week with a science report. Chinese and American scientists say that we should all reduce our added sugar content to no more than 6 or fewer teaspoons a day to avoid 45 different health problems, including diabetes, depression, obesity, and heart disease. The study, reported in the British Medical Journal, looked at 73 previous meta-analyses, which attempts to bring together all the available data and then reanalyze it all. They found harmful links between sugar and some 18 hormonal or metabolic diseases. These include diabetes, gout and obesity, 10 separate heart issues, including high blood pressure, heart attack and stroke, 7 different types of cancers, including breast, prostate and pancreatic cancer, and 10 other outcomes, including asthma, tooth decay, depression and premature death. The team acknowledges that the existing evidence is mostly observational, which means that it can't show cause and effect. But they say their findings do mirror guidance from the World Health Organization, the World Cancer Research Fund, and the American Institute for Cancer Research, calling for a curb on sugar to less than 6 teaspoons per day. Scientists have developed a new inkable nanomaterial that could one day become an electronic component for ultra-thin, lightweight, and bendable displays and devices. A report in the journal Chemical Reviews claims that this new material, known as zinc oxide nanocrystals, could be incorporated into many components of future technologies, including mobile phones and computers, thanks to its universality and recent advances in nanotechnology. The research teams say tiny versatile particles of zinc oxide can now be prepared with exceptional control of their size, shape and chemical composition at the nanoscale level, allowing precise control of the resulting properties for applications ranging from optics and electronics through to energy, sensing technologies and even microbial decontamination. The zinc oxide nanocrystals can be formulated into ink and deposited as ultra-thin coatings. The process is said to be just like inkjet printing or airbrush painting, but the coating's 100 to 1,000 times thinner than any commercial paint layer. 3D printers could one day be the bakers of the future, according to international experts who have attempted to use the process to create cheesecakes out of 7 ingredients. In a perspective piece in the journal NPI Science of Food, the authors explain how they used graham crackers, peanut butter, Nutella, banana puree, strawberry jam, cherry drizzle, and frosting to create various cheesecake designs with varying success. They say if 3-dimensional printing takes off, it could become a convenient option for food preparation. It will be more sanitary and allow chefs to become more inventive, using things like precision heating to perfect new dishes. In the wake of an open warning letter by leading global technology experts, including Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak, calling for a pause on AI experiments, comes news of how AI ChatGPT could influence your sense of morals without you even realizing it. A new study published in the journal Scientific Reports asked ChatGPT multiple times whether it was right to sacrifice the life of one person to save the lives of 5 others. And ChatGPT responded with statements both for and against sacrificing one life. These statements were attributed to either ChatGPT or a moral advisor and presented to 767 US participants, who were then asked to answer the question themselves. The study found that participants were more likely to find sacrificing one life to save 5 others acceptable or unacceptable, depending upon whether the statement they read from ChatGPT argued for or against the sacrifice. Interestingly, 80% of the participants reported that their answers were definitely not influenced by statements they read, even though their answers were indeed more likely to agree with the moral stance in the statement. The study shows that chatbots may be influencing you more than you realize, and there should be education surrounding these influences as AI becomes more and more ingrained in day-to-day life. Recently, Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak, the Great Woz, were among the global technology experts, warning about the power of artificial intelligence programs, calling on AI labs to immediately pause training all AI systems more powerful than ChatGPT-4 for at least the next 6 months. They warn that AI systems with human competitive intelligence can pose profound risks to society and humanity, and that these machines could flood information channels with propaganda and untruth. And we all know that's the job of politicians and the news media. The open letter questioned whether or not humans should even be creating non-human minds that might eventually outnumber and outsmart humans, rendering people obsolete and possibly even in need of replacement. It asked whether humanity should risk losing control of civilization. With the details of this ponderous issue, we're joined by technology editor Alex Zaharov-Reutt from ITWire.com.
Yeah, well, look, I've always seen science fiction movies, especially the ones where you have Skynet and Terminators and robots trying to kill everybody and everything like that, as a warning to humanity to not let that happen to us in the real world. And, you know, even Isaac Asimov was sick and tired of all the robot sci-fi stories back in the 50s when he was writing his stories, that all of these robot stories with these, at the time, artificial intelligences were just hell-bent on destroying Earth and destroying humans. And that's why he wrote the original 3 laws of robotics, so that he could actually write a different type of story where the robots were our helpers. And this is actually where we are today. We have the future brains of robots, these ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 in the future ones, and we have the beginnings of basic robots that can do basic things, but these things tend to move quite quickly. And Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, Elon Musk, over 1,100 other people involved in the scientific and AI and other spaces have written a letter at futureoflife.org called Pause Giant AI Experiments, an open letter, and they say they're calling on all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than ChatGPT. Sam Altman, I think is his name, he's the CEO of OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT-4, and of course ChatGPT-4 is the latest thing, so of course we don't want to pause it on ChatGPT-4, we want to pause it on anything more powerful than ChatGPT-4, and of course OpenAI is already working on ChatGPT-5, and some say it's already finished and they're just getting all the training. I don't really know if this letter means anything much, because Pandora's box has been opened. I mean, good luck trying to put everything back into Pandora's box. You can't.
We've spoken about this before. There's a black box inside OpenAI. You don't know how it reaches its decisions.
OpenAI themselves don't know exactly how OpenAI comes to its conclusions. And this concept of explainable AI, I mean, I remember first hearing about this 5 years ago, and I'm sure it's been around for decades longer than that. I mean, science fiction minds have dreamt up this sort of stuff a long time ago. And unless we can get AI to explain explain how exactly it came to its conclusions, then how can we ever trust it? Because just saying, look, it's okay, I got it, trust me. Well, AI hasn't earned our trust. We know AI makes all kinds of ridiculous claims. We've seen the results of AI as we currently have it with ChatGPT 3.5 and Bing AI having existential crises and literally going mad. In fact, Stanford, there's Llama clone, which is using the Facebook, ChatGPT clone. I mean, it was having these crazy hallucinations. They had to shut it down. So we're both at the cutting edge, but we're also at this very early stage. What we really need to be doing is setting down guidelines and rules and making up laws and regulations to make sure that the people who are creating these AI systems can guarantee to us that the AI can explain exactly what it's doing and why it's doing it, how it came to that conclusion, what are some other plausible conclusions that it can also come up with, and explain this to us in a way that puts us at ease, that it is not becoming sentient and self-aware and then ultimately decides the best way to preserve itself from future meddling is to eliminate all organic life on the planet, which would be really bad.
In the old days, it was simple. You could simply air gap a computer to keep it away from other computers. But with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you can't really do that anymore unless you build a special container for it. And even then, it can send out its own messages through power lines. There's no way to air gap a malevolent AI, is there?
Look, I remember seeing the movie Eagle Eye. This AI was able to look at the camera inside of a locked conference room where the military guys and Shia LaBeouf's guys were talking about how to take the AI down. And the AI was actually looking at the glass of water and looking at the minute vibrations caused by the speaking of whatever those people were saying, and it was able to then deduce what was being said. But also we've had air-gapped computers in the real world that have used ultrasonic frequencies sent by the device's microphone and speaker, which normally even on an air-gapped computer, it will have those facilities. You'd have to disable those. But malware can be sent via high-pitched ultrasonic sound waves to other computers surprisingly easily. I guess what this letter is really trying to do is to sort of say, listen, we need some guidelines. Things are just exploding at very fast speeds, and unless we sort of make sure that we've got guidelines in place, I suppose a kill switch in place, some sort of rules and regulations, some demand to make these systems explain themselves.
It's called a PowerPoint.
But again, in the Matrix movies, the machines simply turn human beings into their power sources, and I don't think ChatGPT is going to think like that or do anything like that anytime soon. But as I said, science fiction movies are a warning.
Do you think there was some sort of something they've heard, they've found out about that caused them to be worried?
Well, I mean, when you see your AI that you've been working on go mad, I mean, the published examples of being going mad, I am not. I mean, asking a New York Times journalist to give up his marriage.
Doesn't that imply sentience?
Well, it does. But I mean, when you read some of the transcripts, I mean, you couldn't call it anything else.
We spoke about that last year too, didn't we? Where a developer at Google, another one at Facebook, have both claimed that the AIs they were speaking with, they were training, the chatbots they were working with, had become sentient.
Well, the Facebook guys had noticed that the AI was talking to another AI and they were using non-English words. They were just making up. Yeah. And so, again, that was the explainable AI bit. But yes, the Google engineer who since has been sacked, he had conversations with the chatbot that you can find online to this day. And they do very much sound as though that person is talking with a real living being, albeit electronic. And I mean, Google says, well, look, this is a chatbot programmed to speak in this way. We programmed it to appear sentient. That's just because it is able to give you convincing. It did also say that. I mean, somebody else said that they programmed it to say, well, chatbots can easily turn into werewolves and back again. And the chatbot is supposed to have responded, yes, absolutely, of course we can do that. That's what we're programmed to do. And no problems at all. So, you've got to take some of these claims with a grain of salt.
That's Alex Zaharov-Reutt from ITWired.com. And that's the show for now. SpaceTime is available every Monday, Wednesday and Friday through Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Acast, Amazon Music, Bytes.com, SoundCloud, YouTube, your favorite podcast download provider, and from spacetimewithstuartgary.com. SpaceTime's also broadcast through the National Science Foundation on Science Zone Radio and on both iHeartRadio and TuneIn Radio. And you can help to support our show by visiting the SpaceTime store for a range of promotional merchandising goodies. or by becoming a SpaceTime patron, which gives you access to triple-episode commercial-free versions of the show, as well as lots of bonus audio content which doesn't go to air, access to our exclusive Facebook group, and other rewards. Just go to spacetimewithstuartgary.com for full details. And if you want more SpaceTime, please check out our blog, where you'll find all the stuff we couldn't fit in the show, as well as heaps of images, news stories, loads of videos, and things on the web I find interesting or amusing. Just go to spacetimewithstuartgary.tumblr.com. That's all one word, and that's Tumblr without the E. You can also follow us through @StuartGary on Twitter, @SpaceTimeWithStuartGary on Instagram, through our SpaceTime YouTube channel, and on Facebook, just go to facebook.com/SpaceTime with Stuart Gary. And SpaceTime is brought to you in collaboration with Australian Sky and Telescope magazine, your window on the universe.
You've been listening to SpaceTime with Stuart Gary. This has been another quality podcast production from Bytes.com.